Midnight Facts for Insomniacs. I just learned something. Oh, I'm having fun now.
Wait, I don't remember. Was it green eggs and ham, like the eggs were green, or was it green eggs and ham, like the whole meal was green?
All of it was green.
There was green ham?
Mm-hmm.
See? That is a hazard. Green eggs, not good, but man, pork that has gone off.
Green? That's botulism.
Void.
Yep.
There were 4 options in the poll this time. There's usually 4 or 5. And for once, I actually correctly anticipated the outcome. I called it.
Nice.
This is the...
Rare.
Yes. We should celebrate.
Does not happen.
I know, and inconsistent with my week.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
And not only that, it was the episode that I wanted.
Oh, shit. Nope.
Yeah.
They're definitely throwing snowballs in hell. Something's
Right?
wrong.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I am glad about that particular topic. We're not going to do it this week. But I'm looking forward to it, though.
Motherfucker. I am the most gullible motherfucker ever. I was like, Oh.
Well, I have a good reason. Listen, hear me out.
Okay.
So last year, right around this time, I felt really stupid because someone messaged me and was like, hey, you guys have done a bunch of holiday episodes. You did like a Halloween episode. You did a Christmas episode. We just had St. Patrick's Day and not a peep. Do we hate the Irish? Are we racist?
No.
No. We're not.
I'm half Celt.
Yeah. I'm not at all, but I don't mind them.
I am friends with a few Celts. Racist.
So anyway, what I decided was we're going to put everything on hold and we're going to do the St. Patrick's Day episode because I saw that it's coming.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm not going to make the same mistake as last year and get yelled at by a bunch of red hairs. Yeah.
Okay.
They-
With the red hairs. God damn it. Gingers, I love you. I'm coming for your women.
Okay, so next week, back to the regularly scheduled programming.
Yep.
As for today, what do you know, Duncan, about St. Patrick's Day?
I know it's based on bollocks, and there were no snakes chased out of anywhere, and potatoes are awesome, and Guinness is good.
That's all you know about St.
That's
Patrick?
all I remember right now. Yeah.
Okay. So according to tradition and legend, St. Patrick brought Christianity to the Emerald Isle. That was his big thing. He reformed all those filthy pagans. And for his service, he was named the patron saint of Ireland. Yeah.
Dubious accolade.
And all that part is sort of true.
Okay.
Patrick did convert at least a few pagans. More than 3, less than all. Somewhere in between, closer to 3.
One of our favorite rounding ups. It's either 2 or 20,000. I don't know.
He gets credit for a lot of them and gives himself credit for a lot of them. It wasn't a lot of them.
Not as much. Okay. Over 6 inches. Yeah. All right. I get it.
It wasn't a girthy amount of pagans.
Okay, we're going far. We're going to the hilt now. Okay. Jesus. Come on now.
So I did a bunch of research, as I always do.
Yep.
I consulted many sources, many articles and videos and such. And that also includes perusing the content from some of our fellow podcasters out there. Have to stay up on what the competition is doing.
There's a competition? I thought they were just winning.
So I found a bunch of really charming, homespun, and extremely authentic St. Patrick's Day podcasts by genuine Irish blokes. Like this one, for instance, from Seamus O'Malley.
Okay.
I'm going to play you a clip, just a little bit of inspiration from good old Seamus. And what I don't want, Duncan, I don't want you to be cynical and try to convince me that this clip is just some kind of disgusting AI slop, just a ploy to get people to listen to ads by capitalizing on cheesy Irish stereotypes.
Okay.
It's definitely not that. So, are we on the same page?
No.
As the saying goes, everyone is Irish on St. Patrick's Day. And why not? We've always had enough heart and spirit to share with the world. This universality is perhaps one of the most remarkable aspects of St. Patrick's Day.
Whoops. Well, you had me till there, Shamey.
I don't know what you're implying here.
Saint.
I knew you were going to do this. I knew you were going to try to convince me that this is not a genuine Irishman who has a lot to offer and just slight vocal quirks.
Little vocal
Don't
tip.
make fun of this man's infirmity, all right? He has, it's an illness. It's very common. It's called excessive posmus.
Excessive posmus. Got it.
And you know what? He can't control it.
Saint.
So
Patrick Day.
don't stop mocking.
I can't help it.
You're being ableist.
What I do.
No, I think this was definitely a human man, and he had a lot to contribute, and I learned a lot. And so I'm gonna sprinkle some clips from Seamus O'Malley throughout the entirety of this podcast, and just for your own. I want you to.
I hate you.
Be open-minded.
No, no robot sprinkles.
It's not a robot. These are human sprinkles.
Oh, that's even better. I don't think you thought that all the way through before you said it.
Prepare for Irish human sprinkles throughout this episode.
I can taste the green.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay. So really the most confounding thing about St. Patrick's Day is how little it has to do with St. Patrick.
Yeah, I've always heard that it had nothing to do with St. Patrick's Day, and then I usually got too drunk to listen to the guy next to me who was expounding about it. So I don't remember.
Seamus O'Malley.
Yeah, it's probably just Seamus O'Malley. I knew it by the St. Patrick's Day.
You don't listen to people if they have long pauses.
Yep.
You are very biased against it. I do a lot of pauses. I like to have. I have these dramatic pauses.
You couldn't do that well. Fuck out of here.
Okay. So more myth busting here. Patrick did convert some people, as I mentioned, but he did not introduce Christianity to Ireland. It was already there.
Okay.
There also, back in the day, there was no real connection between Patrick and the color green. There wasn't any real connection between Ireland and the color green back then. And then you mentioned snakes. You mentioned that St. Patrick had supposedly gotten all the snakes out of Ireland. He banished them from Ireland. Well, that one is true. Ireland was a snake-infested hellhole before St. Patrick.
Nice.
You couldn't vomit Guinness outside a pub without splashing a goddamn snake.
It would go, fuck you, and then bite you.
They were everywhere.
Yep.
Snakes also famously pagan. Yeah, they're very resistant to being converted.
Yeah.
And Patrick tried, but eventually, they weren't having it, and so he had to banish them.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't get along with someone, banishment every time.
Can't beat them, banish them. That's famous.
I can be a snake.
So one of the problems with the story of St. Patrick and kind of trying to accumulate a real backstory is that much of the information that we have about St. Patrick comes from the least credible and least reliable possible source.
Oh?
St. Patrick himself.
Oh, boy.
Autobiographies are the worst.
No.
Nothing could be more biased
Than yourself.
than someone telling stories about themselves.
Yes.
And pretty much all we have about St. Patrick is just a few things other people said, but mostly his autobiography, which it was titled Confessio. Any idea what that translates to in Latin?
No, but I think you have to yell it at a certain point in a card game. I have no idea. Confession.
Nope.
You motherfucker.
The Declaration.
Ah.
Yeah, it is not translated as confession because that might imply some wrongdoing.
Oh, yeah.
And we can't have that. The man is a goddamn saint.
Yes.
He's never beaten a snake in his life. The man-
Vows of celibacy. They're a bitch.
There are definitely no confessions. There are, however, some denials.
Ah.
Yeah, or at least some implied denials. We'll get to it, but this wasn't a confession. It was more like damage control.
Oh.
There's a lot of subtle bragging in there. There's some very strategic omissions. But one thing there definitely is not is any confessions or any specific dates, any real verifiable facts. It's a lot of nonsense.
I was going to say, this sounds like every autobiography ever.
It's worse than most, though. Like, these days there'd be some fact checking, or at least like you could Google it. But back then, you could say anything. He'd tell you anything about his life.
And that's when I taught the giants of Ireland to read.
Pretty much.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing about snakes, and he didn't start the crazy rumors.
Okay.
So I'll give him that.
All right.
But he says a lot of bullshit.
Okay.
My point is, though, that he didn't really nail down any specifics. And then also no one has figured it out since then. So we don't know, for instance, his place of birth.
Okay.
We don't know the date of his birth. We don't know the date of his death. March 17th. That's as good a guess as any.
Okay.
But no one knows for sure. Also, I didn't realize that. I thought maybe we were celebrating his birthday. But no, it's like when you have a beer on St. Patrick's Day, you are celebrating the most tragic day of this man's life.
That actually is fairly Irish, I'm going to be honest. Nobody does a wake like the Irish.
Yeah, it's a little like, pouring one out for the Patrick homie.
Yeah.
But you just pour it down your gullet.
You're going to get the biggest bang out of the whiskey in me, not out there.
None for the snakes.
No.
Just straight down there. That was the problem back in Ireland at the time, if you poured one out for the homie, you were feeding the snakes. You
Tracks all the snakes?
You don't want drunken snakes.
No, boy.
It's even worse. That's why they had to get rid of them.
Exactly. These fucking snakes. Drunken fucking snakes on this drunken fucking island.
So scholars think that the man who would become St. Patrick was born somewhere on the western coast of England. Now, in his writing, in his autobiography, he referred to his birthplace as Bonnevin Tabernay, which appears to not be a place in like a geographical sense, but more of a not place in the totally fabricated sense.
Nice. Okay, I've been there.
Patrick came from a relatively wealthy and very pious family. His grandfather, Petitus, was...
Nope, we're not glossing over that one.
Maybe it's Potitus. Is that better?
Not better. That's worse.
Petitus sounds like an ailment.
It sounds like something you need a cream for.
Potitus, that just sounds like...
A stutter, really.
Yeah. Anyway, he was a priest. Priest Potitus. And which way are we going with?
Dealer's choice. I like them both.
I like Petitus.
Petitus is good.
You say Petitus, I say
Petitus.
Okay.
Yep.
Petitus was a priest. And then Petitus' son, so Patrick's father, was a Roman deacon and a tax collector named Calpurnius.
Yeesh.
That's a cool name. Much better than Potitus. And then Patrick, his birth name is believed to have been Maewyn Succat.
Yep.
Succat. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced. Succat. It might be Succat, but I really hope not.
Maewyn, you suck it.
And Petitus begat Succat.
We're five. That's
so
good.
Later he would adopt the Latin name Patricius, meaning father of the citizens, which like all of them?
Yeah, all of them. You were spreading your Petitus around there, bro.
Jeez, settle down, man.
Seriously.
Take your time. So speaking of his religious career, that would have to wait because despite his religious upbringing, little Maewyn Succat wasn't very religious when he was a kid. He would write later in his autobiography, quote, "I did not indeed know the true God," unquote, even though his dad and his grandfather were like telling him all about it.
Right.
But okay.
Yeah.
Maewyn seems to have lived more than a decade and a half before anything remarkable happened to him.
Okay.
And by remarkable, I mean tragic and terrifying.
Oh, yeah, that's remarkable. I would remark upon that. Sure.
It's worth remarking upon. And he would quite a bit in his autobiography. He would later claim that at 16 years of age, his family's estate was raided by Irish pirates. Little Maewyn was kidnapped and he was spirited off to Ireland like Wesley. And he was forced to live for 6 years as a slave herding sheep and pigs around Slimish.
Slimish. Other side of the island than Faddish.
That was bad. That was bad. Slimish is actually a mountain. It's not Slimish at all. And it was formed from the plug of an extinct volcano.
Okay.
And this is just outside of Ballymena in what is now Antrim County.
Sure. You're doing amazing with these names. I would just be struggle busting it all over the place.
I'm totally faking it. I don't know if any of these pronunciations are right.
Okay.
I'm glad you're buying it, though.
I think we established earlier that I am the world's most gullible motherfucker. Yep, that's how it's said.
Also, Antrim County, the Irish call that County Antrim because they just have to be fucking difficult and contrary.
Contrary ass Irish motherfuckers.
They're always fighting.
Yeah.
Those Irish.
Yeah.
That's so I've heard.
Severed.
So according to Patrick's declaration, his non-confession, those years that he spent as a slave, they started off pretty bad.
Weird.
But then he found himself insulated from pain and misery via the power of prayer.
That's pretty cold comfort. Okay. Man, I wish this would stop. Man, I hate these sheep. Oh, God, make it stop.
Yeah, there's not that much difference between like prayer and complaining.
Yeah.
Patrick would later write, quote, "I would pray up to 100 times a day and almost as many at night. I used to stay out in the forests and on the mountain, and I would wake up before daylight to pray in the snow, in icy coldness, in rain, and I used to feel neither ill nor any slothfulness, because as I now see, the Spirit was burning in me at that time."
This sounds believable and factual.
It sounds like fever.
Yeah. That's called hypothermia, bro.
Did Patrick have all of his fingers and toes later in life?
Starting to doubt it.
Yeah. God was looking out for him.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, because God did not just grant Patrick's prayers to maintain all of his extremities, he also helped him to escape after many years of having allowed him to be a captive.
Right.
Yeah.
You've done your time now, son. On the boat.
Yeah, he could have allowed him to not get captured in the first place. God has that power.
But he's not gonna learn anything then.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you got to suffer and you got to do, horrible things to yourself and your snake, and then you can get off the island.
I just think it's funny how people are always like, by the grace of God, I escaped. No one ever says, by the grace of God, I was enslaved.
It doesn't carry quite the same ring.
But I will say the method of escape does seem pretty fantastical. Patrick supposedly began hearing voices and having prophetic dreams. Again,
It's fever,
yeah.
hyperthermia.
But one of these totally 100% absolutely real dream voices told him that a ship was prepared to spirit him away. All he had to do was go find it. And so he walked 200 miles, and then there it was, right there, only 200 miles away.
Yes, this travel plan would absolutely recommend. It's good.
This is the God helps those who help themselves situation.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you escape. Just 200 miles that way and then sneak onto a boat.
Yep.
So when he got back to Britain, Patrick, these visions and voices did not go away. They typically don't.
No.
Without medication.
Yes.
And they told him, though, that he had to go back to Ireland. So what would a merciful God do except send him back to the place where he experienced all the trauma and misery?
Back you go, fuckhead.
Quote, Patrick then had another vision. A man named Victoricus delivered letters from Ireland, one of which said, the voice of the Irish. And he heard people crying out, we appeal to you, holy servant boy, to come and walk among us, unquote.
It's a bit belittling. It couldn't be holy servant man. It's holy servant boy. You.
Well, it could just be holy boy. Why does he have to be a servant? He was a slave.
I'm sorry, that's slave boy, not servant boy.
Well,
I'm unpaid.
Boy is not the part that I would be upset about.
Ah, okay. I'm just always focused on the wrong thing.
So these visions, it's a little weird that they wanted to send him back to Ireland, right? Except when you realize that they might have been a little bit convenient. Because Patrick's autobiography seems to have partly been written as a defense against some unspecified charges that seem to be mostly having to do with financial impropriety. He spent a lot of time in this book explaining how not greedy he is and how he returns gifts from wealthy ladies and does not take payment for baptisms. He's very specific about that.
Gotcha. Thou protesteth too much there, Patty.
That seems to be the scenario.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this is like writing a book about a bunch of cool things that happen to you, and then in the middle of the book, you're like, and also, of all my amazing adventures, not a single one was stealing from vulnerable widows.
No, absolutely
No.
not. My favorite thing about you, Patty, is that you've never once stolen from widows.
It's one of my best qualities, really, not being an embezzler. So anyway, there has been speculation that whatever those charges were, they might have been part of the reason that Patrick decided to go back to Ireland. He was like, I got to get out of here, and there's only one other place I know.
Yes.
It doesn't have great associations for me, but also they're not trying to lock me up.
Exactly. I know one of two places. One of them doesn't like me much. I'm going back to the other one.
One was potentially going to enslave him in prison, and the other, he'd just get to hang out with pigs and sheep.
Okay.
He'd be outdoors.
Yeah, I like the outdoors.
Chilly, though.
Fair.
Yeah.
Not with pigs and sheep, though. You cuddle up.
That's true. And also, God keep him warm.
Well, yeah. Forgot about the God warmth. My bad.
God warmth. That's okay. So it's not known exactly when Patrick returned to Ireland. And there's a little bit of controversy here. So the Irish Annals, and that's with two N's,
Yep.
Annals. Those are Irish historical documents compiled by monks. They date his arrival back in Ireland to the year 432. But compiling annals is not an exact science.
No.
I don't know if you've ever compiled an annal. It's a delicate business.
So much
Lots of ins and outs, ups and downs.
Yep.
The point is that these monks were not exactly citing their sources. I will give you, for instance, a slightly problematic example.
Oh.
So here's a quote from one of the annals. Quote, here's some record of the repose of Patrick, which is a nice way of saying he passed. On March 17th, at the age of 120.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So they never really play fast and loose with the facts. These are 100%
No, absolutely.
perfect. And
Dude, they aged him with rings. Yeah, I get it. He's 120 years old.
And then there's also a little bit of a problem with the timeline of Patrick supposedly introducing Christianity to Ireland, which we mentioned is an issue, because one thing we do know is that a different priest had actually been sent to Ireland for that same purpose a year earlier. According to the so-called Two Patricks theory, many of the actions and adventures attributed to Patrick were actually Palladius. So the idea is that like these guys were amalgamated in post-antiquity, but Patrick basically benefited from all the stories and legends. They just all kind of went under his umbrella.
Got it. That actually does help it make a bit more sense. Yeah.
I don't know why the guy who came first didn't get the credit. It is possible that he like died young or something. And then the Irish, they can't tell priests apart. They drink a lot, and I'm surprised that they thought it was one person as opposed to like 20 priests.
Yes.
They're like, I saw 2 priests, but I'd had after my 5th Guinness, there were like 18 of them.
Just pick the one in the middle. It's fine. He'll bless you.
So Patrick most likely arrived in the Emerald Isle sometime in the mid-430s, at which time he was immediately beset by hordes of snakes.
Oh, boy.
At the time, Ireland was affectionately known as the Isle of... It wasn't the official name, but if you said that, people would be like, I get it.
Lots gets lost in translation when you're translating Gaelic to Latin. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how the Druids referred to it.
Yes.
At the time.
So, are you heading over to later? All right. Great.
Okay, I'm done messing around with the snakes. The truth is that there have never been snakes in Ireland. They're not part of the fossil record. Paleolithic times, about 10,000 years ago, ice sheets came and covered the British Isles. And when they killed off all the reptiles, and then when they receded, there was still a land bridge between England and Europe. And so snakes managed to get over there. But Ireland was all by itself, and most snakes can't swim, thank God.
Yeah.
And even the ones that do, as soon as they swam over there, they'd turn right the fuck around and swim right back because they were like, no, thank you.
No, it's too cold and fuck off.
It's chilly and foggy, and they don't like that. England's not that much better, but like slightly.
Slightly.
Yeah.
They have 3 days of summer.
And all their friends were back there. Like, if you're going to go somewhere and strike out on your own, it's got to be better than where you came from.
Exactly. That's the rules.
So yes, there were no snakes for Patrick to drive out. They had been driven out many years before by a much more powerful force.
Saint Icicle.
Saint Chilliness, yes. So the true story of Patrick's adventures in Ireland is not very triumphant nor dramatic. The Irish were pretty firmly invested in not being Christian.
Yeah.
They had been very not Christian for very many years. And those Irish pagan chieftains, they didn't take kindly to Patrick's vigorous attempts at
yucking their religious yum.
At conversion.
Yes.
This was not a soft sell tactic.
No.
He wasn't Mormon going door to door and very politely walking away.
Right.
I get the sense that he was more of the like laying on hands variety, probably on those widows and mostly laying hands on their money.
That he never did because he's not an embezzler.
No, he would never do that.
Never do that. Ever.
So he did claim, though, that he was thoroughly devoted to the cause. He wrote this in his confessio that is not that. And he said that he was even planning to convert his former captors.
Okay. Good luck with that there, friend.
That's how you end up a shepherd again, dude.
That's how you end up with a fucking stake through you.
And a lot of that kind of thing happened because he was slapped around quite a bit.
Yeah.
He was imprisoned. People, again, I don't think that they were being unreasonable. I think he was being persistent.
Yeah. That's another way to call it. Sure. Lack of consent, not really listening to the word no.
So, quote, "It was not an easy task. Patrick tells how his life was at risk and how he was sometimes imprisoned by the local pagan chiefs. We know that Patrick sometimes made things easier by giving gifts to the chiefs." The old ladies' money.
Just thinking exactly. I was like, which he totally didn't take from old ladies.
Quote, "Poignantly, Patrick also writes of his longing to leave Ireland. How I would have loved to go to my country and my parents, and also to Gaul in order to visit the brethren and to see the faces of the saints of my Lord. God knows it, that I much desired it, but I am bound by the Spirit," unquote.
Wow, that is some really high-minded bitching.
Bound by the statute of limitations. I think he had to wait like another 50 years before that whole embezzling situation. It worked itself
Still
out.
got another 10 years on that warrant, man. I just got to go.
But sure, Patrick.
Sure. Yeah.
So according to various sources, mostly Patrick himself, Patrick would eventually convert, quote, thousands of Irish pagans. Although there's really no way of knowing that for sure.
Right.
Quote, he ordained priests to lead the new Christian communities. He converted wealthy women, some of whom became nuns in the face of family opposition. He stole ladies. That sounds like kidnapping.
He's so kidnapped.
Quote, he also dealt with the sons of kings, converting them too, unquote.
That's grooming.
Why not? Why not the kings? He
That's grooming.
went after their kids. This feels predatory.
Yeah, that's not good.
So modern legend says that part of the reason that he was so good at converting people was because he was able to explain Christianity in ways that they would understand.
Okay. Is Christianity hard to explain?
That's kind of where I was going with this. But so, for instance, Patrick famously, supposedly, used the shamrock to explain the concept of the Holy Trinity, right?
Okay.
3 holy figures, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, but they're all connected. They're still one organism. I don't have a problem understanding it. And I think that a lot of Christians think that they emphasize this a lot. They're like explaining the Holy Trinity. I'm like, no, I get it.
Yeah.
I just don't
Buy it.
Yeah.
I comprehend the nonsense you're saying. I just don't. Yeah.
Showing me a piece of grass is not going to help.
No. Dude, I want to meet that one guy, though, that was like, he showed me a chunk of grass, and it all made sense, bro. Why am I praying at the altar of the god of anvils or whatever the fuck when I could pray to the grass, man, the grass.
It's all about the weeds, bro.
The weeds, bro.
But you know what? Various leading scholars, they all agree that using uniquely Irish botanical features would have been an effective way for Patrick to simplify these very complicated Christian concepts.
Right.
In fact, leading scholars such as Seamus O'Malley.
No.
I don't know if you remember Seamus.
Robot sprinkles.
But he has a little bit of wisdom on this topic.
Oh, boy.
And while there's no direct historical evidence for it, it's entirely plausible. Patrick would have naturally sought ways to explain complex Christian concepts using familiar elements from the Irish landscape. I've used similar tactics myself when explaining to my granddaughter why she can't have a third biscuit. 1's a treat, 2's enough, 3's a bellyache.
What? Okay. What?
Thanks, robot.
First of all, not a single thing you said was complicated. Second of all, what? You don't eat. We know you don't eat.
This is another like doth protest too much situation.
Yeah.
Because every other line in this podcast was like some homespun wisdom shit.
Yeah.
It's like, here's some more shit a robot would never say.
Robot can't explain this.
So it's not just the robot that believes this. It's not a robot, by the way. That was Seamus.
Sorry, human sprinkles.
That's
right.
But the earliest written version of the story, the idea that Patrick used to, why does anyone care?
Yeah.
But the idea that Patrick was very successful by carrying around a weed, this comes from a physician and a botanist named Caleb Threlkeld. He wrote this in the Synopsis Stirpium Hibernicarum.
Yep. Perfect.
Now, he wrote this in 1726. So that's about 1,300 years after Patrick died.
A little bit.
So, he would know.
Of course.
It seems legit.
First-hand knowledge.
So how did St. Patrick's Day become a day of celebration and
revelry,
buffoonish, drunken shenanigans?
Yes.
Well, as is the case with many things that are kind of fun and also kind of awful, the real modern version of St. Patrick's Day has its roots in America. The first St. Patrick's Day parade was way back in 1601 in Augustine, Florida, arranged by some Spaniards.
Whoa.
This was a Spanish settlement, but the settlers revered St. Patrick as the patron saint of corn.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know. The tradition then would spread throughout America, and then it made its way back to the motherland.
Got it.
And then around 1630, the church declared March 17th to be a minor holiday, basically a feast day, when people went to church and then gathered with their families for dinner. And ironically, this is interesting, pubs had to close on feast days.
What?
But here's the thing. Are you familiar with the Christian tradition of Lent?
Yeah. It's through Deadpool where they like give up stuff.
They do, yeah. So beginning around 40 days before Easter, this is a time for fasting, self-discipline, personal reflection. It's a time to pretend that you're a good person for like 40 days. Very exhausting.
Nice. Yeah. Couldn't do it.
And one of the things you have to do is like give something up. I think people BS their way through this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, 40 days, no sit-ups. Not a single burpee.
I gave up hunting whales for Lent.
Yeah. I'm going to resist the temptation to harpoon anything
Yep.
during that time. Not going to beat a single snake.
No snakes will be beaten for Lent.
So Easter isn't the same Sunday every year, so Lent kind of moves. It's a movable feast. Well, no, it's a movable lack of feast.
Yeah.
But the feast is March 17th, right? St. Patrick's Day basically was a chance for people to take a break from Lent. When people were basically denied all of the things that they wanted, no one was drinking alcohol or anything, and you've been doing that for a while, then St. Patrick's Day was like a release valve. And everyone was very excited to take this opportunity.
To release. Yep, I get it. Absolutely.
So Irish immigrants in America took full advantage of what would become known, this is true, as the Lenten loophole.
Nice.
It wasn't long before the meaning and tradition of St. Patrick's Day began to shift, thanks to American degenerates.
Nice.
As so many things have been spread in the same way. So here's noted Ireland historical expert Seamus O'Malley explaining a little bit about how that came to be.
Human sprinkles.
And nowhere was this transformation more pronounced than in America. That great melting pot where cultures blend like ingredients in my mother's famous Irish stew.
I wonder if his mother was a Mac or a PC.
thinking PC, maybe Commodore 64.
His mother was Claude.
Yeah.
So by the 1800s, cities like New York and Boston, they had these massive St. Patrick's Day parades organized by Irish societies there. And of course, the bars stayed open, and Irish people, they know how to celebrate.
Yes,
at
indeed.
least certainly Irish Americans do. And not in moderation.
Yeah.
Around this time, other St. Patrick's Day traditions also started to take shape. From National Geographic, quote, during the Irish potato famine from 1845 to 1852, nearly 1 million Irish immigrated to the United States. Discriminated against and poor, Irish Americans began eating corned beef from neighboring Jewish butchers and delis. The corned beef, simmered with cabbage, turnips, or potatoes, was inexpensive and became a staple. Over time, this Irish American tradition became closely associated with St. Patrick's Day itself, even though people in Ireland rarely ate beef.
Okay.
Probably a good thing that they stay away from beef, because for the cows over there, they can be a little mad.
A little bit of trouble with the crazy. Yep.
And speaking of traditions, I'm sure you can tell me the traditional St. Patrick's Day beer.
Guinness.
We have an entire episode about the Guinness Book of World Records. We talked a little bit about this earlier.
Yep.
And that meant that we had to actually cover the entire history of Guinness.
Yep.
So we've done this.
Yep.
And if you want to hear me piss off 90% of our Irish listenership, there's only 10% are listening to this episode because they were already mad about that.
Right.
And now we're going to have none of them.
None.
After this.
All gone.
Seamus O'Malley, though, he's on my side.
Yeah, he's definitely on your side.
Because I have his back as I am vouching for his corporeal sentience. He appreciates that.
I'm sure he does. Thank you, Shane.
I want to reiterate that I will have a Guinness on St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
I'm not a Philistine.
No.
All right.
Come on.
But I looked this up, and there is a ton of Guinness consumed on St. Patrick's Day. It's a big deal. I was able to find data from 2017. 13 million pints of Guinness were consumed on March 17th, 2017, just on that day.
Jeebus Creebus.
Guinness must get very excited when this is. Imagine if there was a holiday that was just associated with your product, and then every year.
I mean, we keep trying to make Miffy Day a thing. Nobody joins in.
Right?
What we need is a bar book full of Miffy facts. That's what we need.
We should create a Miffy book.
Yep.
Coffee table book of. Is it be inappropriate?
Yeah.
You can't display it publicly.
No.
It's a private coffee table
It's
book.
not safe for work, really.
It's more like a sex dungeon coffee table book.
Please shackle yourself to the table. Read the book.
So what about all that green? We haven't gotten there yet.
No.
This part, honestly, kind of gross.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. First off, I just kind of hate the idea of like green dye in food. Puts me off.
Okay.
I don't want it. I don't even care if it doesn't change the flavor. I don't want to drink green beer. I don't want to eat green eggs and ham. I'm very much sympathize with the protagonist of that book.
Yes.
Green is indicative of mold and things that have gone bad.
Or poison. One of the two.
If it's not a vegetable and it's green, I don't want it.
Okay.
And I don't really want most green vegetables either. I'll eat them though.
Yeah. Because you know what's good for you.
Sam, I am not. I will eat a green vegetable.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't remember. Was it green eggs and ham, like the eggs were green, or was it green eggs and ham, like the whole meal was green?
All of it was green.
There was green ham. See, that is a hazard. Green eggs not good, but man, pork that has gone off.
Green? That's botulism.
Avoid.
Yeah.
So, quote, on St. Patrick's Day, cities across the world turn iconic monuments green. The Sydney Opera House, the pyramids at Giza, and the Eiffel Tower are all lit with green lights. The Chicago River is dyed bright green. In the U.S., people who won't wear the color green on St. Patrick's Day are pinched.
Yeah. And not so much anymore. You glare at somebody hard enough, they don't do it anymore.
I think the sexual harassment aspects of St. Patrick's Day have kind of been weeded out by the Me Too movement.
Yeah.
Probably for the best. It was kind of an amazing like loophole. This is the Linton loophole when you were in like middle school.
Yeah.
It was like the one day when you could just assault everyone.
Right.
And I was very enthusiastic about it.
I do not doubt that in the slightest. And I once wore green underpants and no, it didn't save me. People were still coming after me.
Nah, if they can't visibly, like I was that guy who was like, I don't see it. And so it doesn't exist. Or like that shade is not,
Not really green. It's more of an ocean.
Yeah, that's like taupe or something. Like that doesn't count, dude.
No,
you're not
sorry,
getting
brother.
away with it. You're getting, and it was a fistful pinch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This is more of a,
Grope, really. Let's call it what it is.
well, a violent growth.
I love how you're
In middle
you were
school,
like, no, I wouldn't go that far. More of a violent grope. What the?
yeah, it wasn't super pervy. It was more sadistic.
Gotcha.
I was just mean.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, there were bruises after St. Patrick's Day on many of my fellow middle schoolers.
Fuck.
Okay, so I mentioned the gross part, and it's not just how I think about green foods and green dyes and such. Brace yourself.
Okay.
Quote, when Richard J. Daley became mayor of Chicago in 1955, he was determined to clean up the city's riverfront, starting with the sewage-strewn river itself. To work out where the waste was coming from, he employed local plumbers to pour an orange concoction into people's water systems. When the solution came into contact with sewage, it turned a bright green. Seeing a colleague's green-soaked overalls one day reportedly gave Stephen Bailey, a representative of the Chicago Journeyman Plumbers Local Union, the idea to scale up the discoloration.
Oh, boy.
As co-chair of the parade, an annual occurrence in Chicago since the 1950s, he first turned part of the river green in 1962. 100 pounds of the chemical was poured in, leaving it a neon shade for the entire week. It took a couple of years to perfect the ratio so it would only last for a day.
Yeah, that can't be good for any life in there.
And the fact that it would turn green and that indicating how much sewage
Yeah.
is in the that doesn't make me want to drink my green beer.
No, at all. In fact, that's nauseating. Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about all the green, but not why green.
Yeah, no explanation.
I know, this is my bad.
Okay.
So green is the traditional color of St. Patrick's Day, but it was not the traditional color of Ireland. It wasn't actually associated with Ireland. Do you know what the Irish national sort of color was back in the day?
No.
It was blue.
Huh.
Yeah. It was favored by Irish royalty. It was on the flag. But all of that changed. Green became the focus during the Irish Rebellion of 1798. Irish soldiers who were rising up against the British, they wore green to distinguish themselves from the blue of the British.
Right.
So at that point, like, blue suddenly became not as cool because it was the color of the oppressor.
Right.
And there were a bunch of songs associated with this. Have you ever heard The Wearing of the Green?
No.
Okay, it's a very famous song. It's very upbeat. It's kind of fun, actually.
Have Seamus sing it for us.
For the wearing of the green, for the wearing of the green, they're hanging men and women for the wearing of the green.
Jesus Christ. Christ.
Happy, did he?
I've never heard genocide put so merrily. Jeebus creebus.
It's very uplifting.
It is.
In a very literal sense.
Oh, yeah.
That is the worst version of being uplifted is by your neck.
Yep.
So wearing the green was basically like a big, stiff middle finger to the British.
Right.
It was less like a warm and fuzzy, we all like green thing, and more like a screw you. We're going to shove our green down your British fucking throats.
Right.
Yeah. So here's something I had never heard.
Yes.
Did you know that Patrick, St. Patrick I'm referring to,
Yeah.
he, Maywin Suckett, yes,
Good
you know
old
who I'm talking
Suckett,
about?
yes.
He is associated with a certain type of facial hair.
Okay, what's that?
It is the goatee.
Really?
My facial hair of choice
Yeah.
was supposedly named not after St. Patrick, but because of St. Patrick.
Ah, so you're wearing a sucket right now.
If I
That
have
is
enough
what it's-
soup, then that's how I get the rest of my meal.
Yeah. I'm never not calling it that now. Styling your sucket this morning.
My goatee is not long enough for me to suck it the soup out of it. Yeah. So, quote, the life of St. Patrick, written in the 12th century in a chapter entitled A Goat Bleedeth in the Stomach of a Thief.
Whoa.
In this chapter, a thief, he stole a goat from Patrick.
I gathered that.
And he ate the goat. And then, quote, once Patrick recovered the goat, he cursed the thief to be marked with the beard of a goat. The goat, which was swallowed in the stomach of the thief, bleated loudly forth and proclaimed the merit of St. Patrick. And
He ate me, you bastard.
And it continues, this is a little confusing, quote, and to the increase of this miracle it happened, that at the command, nay rather at the sentence of the saint, all the posterity of this man were marked with the beard of a goat. They talked differently back then.
Yeah, I didn't catch all that, but I guess basically, it started bleeding and saying he's really good, and the guy grew a goatee.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're saying.
And then anyone who's a jerk maybe gets a goat beard?
This is becoming more and more realistic.
You can Maywin suck it.
You're wearing a sucket, so cool.
So St. Patrick's Day has become kind of a double-edged sword. It obviously drives tourism to the Isle every year. March is a big tourist time.
Yeah.
But there is a downside as well. Let's listen to an expert on Ireland. His name is Seamus O'Malley. He's going to drop some wisdom about the dark side of the holiday.
Human sprinkles.
The commercialization of St. Patrick's Day has, of course, led to some excesses and stereotypes that make me roll my eyes like my wife does when I tell the same old joke for the 100th time. The image of the drunken Irish reveler reinforces harmful stereotypes about Irish people.
He ain't lying.
No.
He ain't human, but
Yeah,
he ain't lying.
I was going to say, he's not human, and that accent that he's doing is...
It's inconsistent, isn't it? Yeah.
Inconsistent, and it's part of that stereotype, so, you're kind
I
of
know,
profiting
that's
off of it.
Yeah, right? I don't think this was an Irish person who created this podcast.
No.
So that's pretty much all that I have about St. Patrick's Day.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm still going to get drunk and, fuck around and find out. Every year I do it the same way. But,
I'm going to have a Guinness.
Yep.
And I'll probably fuck around and find out that I still don't like Guinness.
In large quantities. Yes.
Nah. I had one the other day, and again, the only problem is that it makes me very full. And I'm just like, it does taste pretty good. It's very smooth, I will say. It's inoffensive. But I don't feel like, I'm just like, oh, now I feel I just want to lay down.
Well, yeah. You want to drink a beer and have a nap. Best thing ever.
There you go.
There you go.
I want to do a podcast and then have a nap.
You damn Skippy.
Tired. Unfortunately, we can't do that because we're about to head to San Francisco.
Gotta go to Homerton. All right. So head on over to the Patreon and help us out. Any money is good money, and we will spend it doing more shit that you like. And then, as per usual, and forever after,
Knowledge is power.
sleep is overrated.